Hi everyone, I'm finally making another Sonic video. Yeah, it only took like half a year. Shut up! And this time, I have a green screen, so I can get experimental. You know, when you change the letters around in experimental, then add a few letters, then remove several, you'll get flaked breakfast cereal with milk and raspberries served with juice and tea. And if you do it in a different way, you get Sonic Riders. Sonic Riders is an extreme sports racer from 2006 and contains a lot of extreme things, extreme locations, extreme characters, extreme stunts, and extreme frustration! There's a couple of good things on display, but in attempting to make a game that was superior to any previous Sonic racing game, they seem to have forgotten to make the core gameplay anything above, I want to take these hoverboards and beat Sonic and myself to death with it. Part 1. Playing Sonic Riders makes me want to extreme motorbike off of Mount Fuji and into the sea. Let's get some nice things out of the way first. The starting minigame is cool, and more involved than Mario Kart. You have to walk back, then run forward in order to be moving as quickly as possible and as close to the starting gate as possible when the countdown ends. I like this. It takes a fair bit of skill to pull off effectively, and unlike Mario Kart, there are degrees of success. It's a good feature. Each character has an archetype: speed, flight, and power. These archetypes can determine the kinds of shortcuts you're allowed to take, and that adds a bit of replay value to the tracks. The city environment's good. I like that. The music for the desert track is also good. I like the character designs. They're a good way to keep everyone's designs similar while still being distinct from their original appearances. Perks of having a simple design. Add some shades and it's a whole new look. Wait a minute, this has nothing to do with gameplay. But to make it have to do with gameplay, there's a shop where you can purchase more hoverboards and floaty mopeds, which I literally never used once, and I didn't have enough rings to buy anything by the end of the game. But it's a nice idea, and the black market chow? Wonderful touch. Riding hoverboards is a good concept, even if they keep calling it Extreme Gear, which makes it sound like I'm playing a Sunny D ad from 1994, and oh good god I hate it, please make it stop please. And of course, the intro. I have to be brutally honest and say that I find the lyrics to be a bit cringe and drag the whole thing down a little bit, but it's widely regarded as a classic, and for good reason. The visuals are absolutely fantastic, the intro just overall is a masterpiece, and by far the best thing the game has to offer. And I think that's about everything. Everything good about Sonic Riders gameplay. How far into the video are we? This far. We are this far. And how much is left? Oh, that's quite a lot. This is one of the most bizarre and frustrating racing games I've ever played. And for reference, I played Cars 2 on the Nintendo DS and beaten it. More than once. More than twice. I've beaten that game like 5 times. I am a Cars 2 for the Nintendo DS professional. There's no accelerate button, which is a really surreal thing for a console racing game. You start by using the left stick to move like a conventional game, except not that at all. You can turn backwards for some reason and the steering is reversed, but once you're on Extreme Gear, you accelerate automatically and just have to use the left stick to turn. There are several instances when you'll need the left stick for other things though, like with the funny circle quicktime event and the shortcuts, and by the way, I played this game for like 7 hours and I still don't know how to use speed shortcuts. I just don't think they're real. They don't exist. Look at me, right here. I'm hitting it perfectly, but I'm not going through it. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's made up. It's in your mind. You gotta free your mind. You gotta play a different video game. Now, you might say, oh yeah, big whoop, it plays like a normal auto run. No! This game plays like an arcade racer fever dream, the kind where you wake up in cold sweat and suffering from sleep paralysis, but your sleep paralysis demon is just watching the in-game cinematics, and trust me, we'll f***ing get to those. But before I talk about the main issue, I want to mention that if you hit a wall, you lose all your momentum, and given the steering, you'll hit the wall a lot. I had nowhere else to include this, and just like its inclusion in the script, I've lost all my momentum. Turning in this game is bad. Just because you're on a hoverboard doesn't mean the controls have any right to be this floaty. Turning at full tilt doesn't always feel like enough force, but it's more than just that. Not only are the controls floaty, it's almost like you're softly tethered to the place you're in. It doesn't feel like steering, it feels like you're trying to suggest to them where to go. They keep going, oh no, I don't want to turn, I like it here in my lane, or I'm about to go off a f***ing cliff. This contrasts heavily with the drifting, primarily because you drift at such a hairpin angle that you could literally mimic a hairpin with it. Like, here, look, here's a hairpin, and then whoosh! Oh, there they go! Wow, it's like magic! Except it's the Randy Pitchford kind of magic, where everything is awful and you want to die. Even on hairpin turns, 180-degree nightmares that are designed to be drifted through, even if you drift it perfectly, you're not making the racing line, you're doing something kind of like this. This. See, it's like you make the 90 degree, you make like a regular turn and then you just shoot out at a 90-degree angle. I don't know how well that's gonna show up. I'm in silhouette right now. To the game's credit, you pull this off, you feel cool as hell. I'm talking walk into the middle school lunchroom, hat backwards, sunglasses on, skateboarding through with your pizza and ice cream sandwich. Everybody loves you. None of this is real. I went to a school with a uniform, and if I did any of that, the nuns would have domed me with a ruler like a Modern Warfare 2 throwing knife trick shot. However, to not the game's credit, in all other circumstances, it sucks. It sucks hard. It never feels like you're doing it right, and in a lot of cases, it feels like it's not possible to do it right. The clearest example of this is with the turn on the track that I won't name yet. It's a more than 180-degree turn. It requires use of the janky drifting mechanics, and the outside wall isn't there. At this point in writing the script, I'm really tired, so I don't have a good analogy for how furious this miasma of broken design makes me, but the fact that a not insubstantial part of the cause for me being tired as a result of this specific turn should tell you all you need to know about it. And now in my usual fashion, it's time to make a terrible segue into talking about level design. Part 1.5. Extreme motorbiking off Mount Fuji and into the sea would be at least less complicated than these tracks. Look at this minimap. This thing. With the exception of the city, every track is at best mostly comprehensible, and at worst looks like an Apple screensaver with a UI. Anyway, the bad steering I mentioned earlier is compounded by level design that exacerbates these problems. Steering is floaty and tethered, so naturally they like to include segments where the walls are missing that are hard to deal with. Or the segments have walls and you lose all your momentum when you hit them. Or there's no wall and you constantly get dragged towards the edge. Or there's a segment with drifting and it's bad because it's drifting and it's bad. No, I can do better. I can say more than just thing bad. I shall be verbose and articulate. Postulate the second. Watching the cutscenes in Sonic Riders makes me want to be extremely drunk while I extreme motocross off of Mount Fuji and into the sea. Ow, ow, God, I just started the recording, my foot hurt. Ow. The decision for Sonic Riders to have a story mode is a bold choice, and definitely not something I would want in every racing game. But in my opinion, it's a good idea here. Making the plot focus on a racing championship also complements the story, as it's a perfect setup to contextualize the locations and further detail the relationships between competitors. Just driving with others can create drama. You can develop rivalries, alliances, and punching bags over the course of a single race, and those dynamics can be expanded with a full plot. This is made more interesting with the new characters, who I like. Kind of. They have problems, but they're not all that bad. And now, I'm gonna take all the goodwill that I just said and get it acquainted with my A10 Warthog. Let's start with the plot, which on a surface level actually works kind of, not really, not at all, it's bad. Eggman wants the Chaos Emeralds as usual, and he has a new plan for getting them. He hosts an extreme race where the prize for entry is 1 Chaos Emerald. Footnote 1. Sonic and pals all enter the race and find themselves in a rivalry with the Babylon Rogues, a group of thieves who are descendants from the Babylonians. Footnote 2. Now, the ancient Babylonians have a hidden treasure that the Babylon Rogues have passively been looking for, but Eggman is actively looking for. He approaches them, explains that the treasure can be accessed by combining the Chaos Emeralds and this thing that looks like the Tesseract, and they agree to help set up the Extreme Tournament with the pretense that they, each group thinking they'll screw over the other, will get the treasure out of it. With the tournament underway, the two groups engage in banter and fighting during said tournament. Footnote 3. Before one of the races, Wave plants an explosive on Sonic's hoverboard, which she detonates during the final championship. Footnote 4. When Jet goes to take his prize, the Key and the Chaos Emeralds combine energies and summon the Babylon Garden, a giant floating ruin in the desert. At this point, Eggman steals the key and goes into the ruins trying to take the treasure for himself. Jet and Sonic both race each other to go after him. Footnote 5, and after said race, Sonic gives the key to the Babylon Rogues because he honestly doesn't care all that much. The Babylon rogues open the gate to a seemingly unending void, which Sonic Team finds interesting, so they follow him inside. The treasure inside is protected by a guardian, so the two teams kill it and obtain the treasure. Eggman is also there and holds everyone at gunpoint to take the treasure for himself, but is disappointed to discover that it's just a nice rug. But it's also a flying carpet, which everyone considers to be a prototype Extreme Gear. Footnote 6. The group part ways on relatively amicable terms, knowing they will meet in the future for more races. Footnote 7. And of course, Footnote 0. Dear Dan Olson, I'm sorry for taking such heavy inspiration from the format of your 50 Shades Darker plot analysis in this section. I greatly respect your work, and I hope there are no hard feelings. Sincerely, Locke. Now, on with the show. Footnote 1. Eggman makes the price of entry 1 Chaos Emerald. Sonically. Oh god, it's like musically for Sonic people. Oh god, that's a terrifying thought! Sonic is typically media for children. It's certainly capable of being more mature, or trying to be more mature. Look, I hear a lot of good things about SATAM and IDW, but I've never actually watched any of those, so I don't know. But at its core, it's geared to a younger audience. With that being said though, the trope in which the villain pretends to do something nice for the heroes and the heroes unquestionably fall for it is a trope that really bothers me. It's the same kind of problem as cartoon episodes where a character becomes irrationally mean. It's deliberately undermining the characters in service of whatever the plot needs them to do. I don't like it. It's also a really lazy setup to bring all the emeralds into one place, when the story could have been written without them at all. The Chaos Emeralds on the whole are a really common plot device for the series, but unless the plot explicitly relies on their existence, they don't add much to the overall narrative. The most the Chaos Emeralds actually do within the plot is summon the Babylon Garden, which again could have been written out of the story, and one of them gets stolen by the Babylon rogues in the opening cutscene. The other emeralds don't even get an explanation for their presence. They're just there. They effectively serve no purpose or benefit to the plot. Footnote 2. The Babylon rogues are a group that exists. The Babylon rogues are a new group of characters added to the plot, and they serve more of a rival role than one of outright hostility. They're a group of incredible thieves, but they're more neutral than that implies. More of an early Garrett than a Harry and Marv. You've never heard of them, despite what Eggman thinks.
Are you Jet, the legendary rogue? Your reputation precedes you.
Who are these people?
I've heard so much about your infamous group.
Hi, I haven't. I don't hate the Babylon rogues as characters, with the notable exceptions of yes I do, they're very annoying, but they're not bad in concept. A group of professional thieves is a cool idea that fits well with the hoverboarding theme. Even though the opening cutscene is a little meaningless, it's a fantastic introduction. This shot in particular is really great. And they have a flying pirate ship. That's rad as hell. However, I have to critique the characters themselves, and by critique I mean, honey, fetch me the A10 Warthog. Storm's character is that he's an idiot. That is all. He's big and dumb. 6 out of 10, I would hug him. Wave's character is that she's techie and catty and a nag who no one likes. Naturally, she's the only woman in the cast. She's also the smartest one in the group by far, so I guess there's that. Where were we? Jet. Ugh, please, can I die instead? What I like about Jet is his design. It's really good. And then he opens his mouth.
I don't want your pity, nor do I need it!
Jesus, I hope this green screen thing is working right. Let me know in the comments if this green screen thing is working well. Footnote 3. This part of the plot resembles padding a bit, which gives me a good opportunity to talk about the cutscenes themselves. They're bad. Let's talk about timing. When you're filming a scene, be it a game, movie, play, or in my case, a YouTube video essay, timing is everything. One of the things I spend a lot of time doing in the editing process is editing the timing of audio, moving blocks of sound by frames in order to get a good flow. Now, getting a good flow isn't easy to do. It takes the work of both actors and editors, and even in the case of this video, I'm performing in a method I don't usually do, and I can't as easily rely on extensive editing to create an illusion of smooth speech. How am I doing with that, by the way? Let me know in the comments, and I will try to improve, I guess. And subscribe while you're at it. Anyway, timing is very important to flow. Sonic Riders, to put it mildly, doesn't do that well.
That's cool! Sonic! When did you learn those techniques?
Every line
has very stilted flow and delivery,
which harms dramatic moments in the way a pause to recall a line harms the elementary school Christmas play, and harms comedic moments doubly so. Not that they need any help being ruined, given the performances. Listen to this f***ing voice acting.
Hey, boss! We've got some major trouble!
How could you dive into Eggman knowing I was there?
Why'd you burst in here anyway? A magic carpet? I thought that those only existed in fiction.
That's cool! Sonic!
Enough!
It sounds like every line was recorded with no context by 7th graders who are coming off a Novocaine injection and can't fully articulate. I know you're not meant to take Sonic games 100% seriously, except Shadow the Hedgehog, which should be taken dead seriously all the time. You need to study that shit like it's the Bible, unlike Sonic Riders, which I cannot take seriously at all. Notable performances include Sonic, who only vaguely understands the concept of how he's supposed to emote.
Finally, something interesting.
Aw, he's trying, but he's a little lacking in confidence. Come on, man, you got those rad shades now, you can do it. Jet, who... Oh boy, Jet, I want to be nice with you. I don't hate you. More talented people than me have drawn you really well. Also, I like eating seeds. But I need to be honest. You sound like nails on a chalkboard if it smoked 3 packs a day. You sound like the world's most shrill Combine soldier just lost their voice effect. You sound like you got drunk and watched 8 Crazy Nights, a movie in which Adam Sandler voices both main characters and differentiates them by voicing one with the most grating voice ever put to film, and made that your inspiration. Wait, Sonic and Jet are voiced by the same guy? Okay, putting aside the 8 Crazy Nights theory, which I'm now believing a lot more, how does a guy who voiced Sonic for several years prior sound like he forgot how to voice Sonic, then voiced the other main character and f***ed that up too? How the hell did that even happen? Like, what is going on? Why does Jet sound like Whitey?
The back of the carpet has more words of wisdom.
I knew this young man years ago when his moral fiber was still intact.
Enough!
Footnote 4. The explosive. Or, for some reason, everyone on the set is taking Chekhov's gun and moving it away from me. Probably because I said I want to die like half a dozen times so far. In between one of the races, Wave examines Sonic's extreme gear, and in doing so, plants a small explosive device while she is inspecting. I'm trying my best. Later, during the final race of the championship, Wave detonates the explosive to keep Sonic from winning. Or doesn't. Something I haven't mentioned until now is that the story mode is split into 2 parts, Sonic's story and the Babylon Rogues. This was relatively common in Sonic games in the early 2000s, and it was honestly an interesting idea for telling unique stories. However, with this explosive device, there's a small Chekhov's gun problem. Before that though, I need to talk about the problem games can have with multiple playable characters over the course of a single story, and that's when crossing paths is done through gameplay. Most games are about achieving victory. So what do you do when 2 characters, both of which are playable, fight? To my knowledge, which I admit is very, very minimal, this is often resolved by making the fight end in the same place. You play as Sonic in this fight, then you play as Shadow. Who won? Doesn't matter. Or you could be like Hotline Miami and make every character a murderous, possibly drugged up liar, though a Sonic game that takes pages from Hotline Miami would certainly be something. I bring this up because the race in which the explosive is used doesn't use the different events same outcome strategy, but in doing so creates the Chekhov's gun issue, because the setup and payoff are split across the 2 campaigns. If the Sonic timeline is the correct one, then Jet wins because Sonic's board was rigged with an explosive that you never saw got planted. But if the Babylon Rogues timeline is correct, then the explosive is set up in a cutscene, but Jet wins because you play as him. It's either setup without payoff, or payoff without setup. Footnote 5. Padding. I played this game for several hours, and boy did it feel pointless. I mentioned the gameplay felt like an arcade racer fever dream, and the story feels like an arcade racer too. Less than half the races directly contribute to the plot. The line, with the tournament underway, the 2 groups engage in banter and fighting during said tournament, takes up the bulk of the game. Now, you might be asking why I bring it up here instead of footnote 3. Well, I bring it up here because the race that occurs at this point in the plot is A, pointless, and B, the worst thing ever, and I hate it. I spent over an hour on this stage alone because the Babylon Garden has a 270-degree turn that requires use of a jank drift mechanic and has no outer wall. See? This is the track that I said I was going to mention later. Wow, here it is. Almost like I have an actual understanding of Chekhov's gun. Sonic Team, what the hell were you doing? Footnote 6. Now we're going to talk about the Babylonians. The Babylonian rogues explicitly state that they're descendants from the ancient Babylonians. Itching my nose timeline. This is timeline? Intermission. My knowledge of the English language is... This is the kind of thing that sounds okay on paper, but the Babylonian Empire existed several thousands of years ago. A lot of people are likely going to be descendants of a group after that amount of time. To say the least, I don't think the dev team did a shred of research. Granted, I did barely more than that. did you know that Hammurabi comes from there? But even I can tell that when the game uses Babylon as the central element of the plot, when Jet says his group are descendants from the Babylonians, it's about as surface level as you could possibly get. Oh, and there's a magic carpet. Footnote 7. Rivalry. I know I've been very negative about Sonic Riders, but I'd like to switch to a more positive note for my final footnote. The relationship between Sonic and Jet in this game is actually something that kind of works for me. I think Sonic is awfully forgiving of what amounts to extremely dangerous sabotage and grand theft of a Chaos Emerald, but I also pounded him into the dirt. Get f***ed, you little bird, man. You sound like Blake Shelton impersonating an automaton. So I guess all's good between them. As someone who really likes the extended cast of characters, I think it's a good idea for Sonic, and characters in general, to have these sorts of rival relationships, rather than everyone being friends except for those on the kill list. And as a neutral group, I think the Babylon Rogues are a perfect fit for such a relationship. While I was done and tired by the end of the game, it does end on a note that says, look, all this stuff, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Which really sucks if you spent several hours getting irrationally frustrated by the game, but as setup for a potentially better game, it leaves things on stable ground. Footnote 8. I love this scene where Dr. Eggman straight up pulls a gun on the main cast. This isn't even the first time he's done this, and I'll most likely never get tired of Sonic's fun for all the family adventures getting interrupted by something being held at gunpoint. Have I talked about everything yet? Let's see here. Check. Omachow! If I do one more flip with a completely normal landing, only to hear... I'm gonna take my own page from Hotline Miami and shoot you several times before gouging your eyes out! Okay, now I think I've covered everything. I'm gonna check on the camera. Hey, how many pages did I write about this? Like, 10? Damn, why is it so hard to write 3 pages for school? Sonic Riders is a game, and I don't like it. Between the new characters, new character designs, and at least elements of the general concept, I can see that there are good things that can possibly be salvaged, but god damn do you have to dig through some awful gameplay to get there. This game should have been released in 2013. It would have gotten huge off the backs of enraged Let's Players. I guess that's the best I can say about it. Lots of room to improve. Lots of things to improve. Quite a lot of things, actually. Might not be best to introduce new gimmicks while you still need to get the basics down. Oh no, I'm going to have to review that